What if I told you that there were dozens of thriving black towns across America that were burned to the ground, bombed from the air, and erased from maps? Not by foreign enemies, but by white supremacist mobs. What if I told you that entire communities like Black Wall Street in Tulsa were destroyed in a matter of hours, killing hundreds of people and wiping out millions of dollars in black wealth? And what if I told you that despite this systemic destruction, Black Americans rose from those ashes and continued to press forward? This isn't just a story about tragedy. This is a story about a resilient people and how they took unimaginable losses to fuel an unstoppable quest to forge our acceptance in a country that we built. Before I share with you more factual occurrences about the fall and rise of Black cities in America, you know, the story that has been suppressed deep within the annals of American history, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're building a community of parents and grandparents who refuse to let these stories of destruction and resurrection be forgotten. What I found troubling when I did this research was the discovery of the number of Black cities that have been destroyed that are rarely, if ever, spoken of, with the exception of places like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. When I discovered that there were entire Black towns that were wiped off the map, I realized that not just my family, both young and old, had ever even heard of the number of thriving communities that rivaled anything in white America, but others were void of this knowledge as well. We weren't aware of the number of Black people that had created their own Wall Street, their own local governments, their own everything in other areas of America besides Tulsa, only to have them all destroyed in a matter of days. But here's where I'm inspired. Our upcoming generation will see the intellect, ingenuity, creativity, and the resilience of their own people, and they'll have the ability to formulate a factual and pointed argument on the subject of the racial wealth gap. It is not because we're not as intelligent. It is not because we lack the ability to create. It is not because we don't have the capability to succeed at whatever it is we desire to do. They'll know that the problem lies not with us, but with where we tried to thrive and who it was that took issue with our success. They'll see how their people kept rising from the ashes, and they'll better understand the history that wraps affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it is my wish that this video helps fuel their drive to be successful today. And that's the purpose of this video. Now, if we've heard it once, we've heard it 1,000 times. Why do you keep talking about the past? Well, for me, that registers as, why do you continue to keep unlocking Black history? And I'm happy to tell you why. Just last week, the world witnessed the relevance of this video. On September the 21st, 2025 in Avondale, Arizona, here is what was recently stated by this administration's White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, and I quote, "To the enemy camp and to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have?" Now, before I go on, let me reiterate to you, the speech is given in the stadium right here in America, in Avondale, Arizona. Therefore, we have to ask ourselves the question, who is he talking to? Since we're all Americans, who is the enemy camp? And who is the you he's referring to? And who is considered the us? He goes on to say, mind you, while speaking to American citizens. You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness. You are jealousy. You are envy. And you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. He continues, and what will you leave behind? Nothing. To our enemies, you have nothing to give. You have nothing to offer. You have nothing to share but bitterness. Ladies and gentlemen, for him to be able to speak freely in that manner, with little to no rebuke, is the very reason why it is extremely important to know the truth behind American history. Why? So that when you see things happening like that today, you can identify with the grave similarities of the very things that they are desperately trying to erase. Now, let's go on with the video. In the early 20th century, Black communities across America were building economic independence, political power, and cultural strength in the face of racism, segregation, and white supremacy. Towns such as Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, known as Black Wall Street, and Rosewood, Florida, became symbols of Black prosperity and resilience. But these communities were also violently targeted by white mobs, leading to some of the most devastating racial massacres in American history. The massacre in Tulsa in 1921, Rosewood in 1923, Elaine, Arkansas in 1919, and Ocoee, Florida in 1920 destroyed thriving Black communities. Meanwhile, the Black towns such as Morrisonville, Louisiana, Beverly Town, Louisiana, and Sunrise, Louisiana, were quietly erased by industry and systemic neglect. Yet, despite the trauma and destruction, Black Americans continued to rise. They rebuilt lives, communities, and institutions. This is the story of the destruction, the remarkable resilience, and the resurgence that followed. Let me tell you about the systemic destruction that they've hidden from our history books. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. Tulsa's Greenwood district was one of the most prosperous Black communities in America. On May 31st and June 1st, 1921, white mobs, incensed by a false accusation against the young Black man, destroyed over 35 blocks, killing as many as 300 Black residents. Businesses, homes, and dreams were burned to the ground, and no one was held accountable. Rosewood, Florida, 1923. Rosewood was a self-sufficient Black town in Florida after another unfounded accusation against a Black man. A white mob lynched residents, burned homes, and displaced the entire town. Elaine, Arkansas, 1919. In Elaine, Black sharecroppers were organizing for fair wages. The response, a massacre of white mobs and federal troops, killing an estimate 200 Black people. It remains one of the deadliest racial massacres in U.S. history. Ocoee, Florida, 1920. On election day, Black residents in Ocoee attempted to vote. White mobs responded with violence, killing dozens, burning homes, and erasing the Black presence from the town for generations. Morrisonville, Reveltown, and Sunrise. These are small Black towns in Louisiana that were displaced not by mobs, but by chemical plants and industrial expansion. Families were bought out or forced out without adequate compensation or relocation support. Environmental racism also played a significant role in their erasure. The aftermath of these events was devastating. Survivors were denied insurance claims, justice, and even acknowledgement. Many families lost everything: wealth, property, even their lives. In Tulsa, survivors rebuilt only to face ongoing discrimination and neglect. In Rosewood, survivors fled and never returned. In Elaine, those who lived often remained silent for decades due to fear. In Morrisonville and Reveltontown, families saw their histories paved over by industry. The trauma rippled through generations. Psychological scars and economic disenfranchisement and systemic exclusion from wealth-building opportunities like land ownership, education, and business investments became a legacy from these attacks. And that's what they don't want you to know. Yet, it was their faith that revived their human spirit, and Black Americans pressed forward. Hello, everyone. My friend Kevin Long is teaming up with Mr. Robert Thompson for the Kingdom Boom AI Summit. Stop guessing with AI. In just 1 week, you can get the clarity and tools to use it with confidence. The summit is October the 21st through the 26th. See the link in the description below for more information. Now, back to the video. Despite these attacks, Black Americans resisted despair. Many migrated to northern and western cities during the Great Migration, building new communities in Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, and New York. Black churches, mutual aid societies, and fraternal organizations stepped in to provide support. Families pooled resources together to educate their children, start businesses, and buy property despite redlining and discrimination. The rise of historically Black colleges and universities created pathways for leadership. Black newspapers like the Chicago Defender gave voice to Black communities and exposed injustices. Black Wall Streets emerged in other cities, including Durham, North Carolina, and Jackson, Mississippi. In Durham, the Haiti District is perhaps the most famous of Durham's independent Black communities. Established by formerly enslaved people after the Civil War, it grew into a prosperous, self-sufficient community, with its name potentially inspired by the Haitian Revolution. In Jackson, Mississippi, there were two historically independent, self-sufficient Black communities: the Forest Street Historical District and the El Range subdivision, which is now the Medgar Evers Neighborhood Historical District. These communities were established as safe havens during the Jim Crow era, allowing Black residents to live and prosper outside of the confines of segregation. Often called the Black Mecca of Mississippi, the Forest Street Historical District was the largest economically independent Black community in the state during the Jim Crow era. Culture became resistance. Jazz, blues, gospel, and later hip-hop emerged from these struggles, giving expression to both Black pain and joy. If this story of resilience is inspiring you like it inspires me every single day, then make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell, because the modern day resurgence will blow your mind. In the 1950s and the 1960s, the civil rights movement pushed forward a national reckoning. Activists like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ella Baker, and Fannie Lou Hamer carried the legacy of those massacred and displaced, demanding justice, voting rights, and equality. In the modern era, descendants of the Tulsa and Rosewood survivors have fought for recognition and reparations. In 1994, the Rosewood Compensation Act passed in Florida. It was one of the first state-level reparations efforts. Tulsa survivors testified before Congress in 2021, and efforts for reparative justice continues. Black Americans have risen in every sector: politics, business, science, education, and the arts. From the election of President Barack Obama to the rise of Black billionaires and cultural leaders, the resilience is undeniable. Movements like Black Lives Matter echo the pain of Elaine and Okoye while demanding a better future. Modern revitalization efforts in communities like Greenwood also aim to reclaim Black economic power. The fall of Tulsa, Rosewood, Elaine, Okoye, Morrisville, Revelrytown, and Sunrise represents one of the darkest chapters in American history. But what followed is a testament of Black strength, perseverance, and vision. The rise of Black America after these tragedies is not just a story of survival, it's a story of transformation. From building new institutions to shaping national culture and politics, Black Americans have continued to rise despite every effort to destroy their progress. As the nation begins to reckon with its history through education, reparation debates, and public memory, the stories of these lost towns and the risen people must be central. Honoring their legacy means supporting equality, preserving memory, and ensuring that such atrocities never happen again. Tulsa, Rosewood, Elaine, Okoye, Morrisville, Revelrytown, Sunrise. These names represent both the greatest destruction and the greatest comeback in American history. They tried to destroy Black America, and instead they forged one of the strongest people this nation has ever known. This is the story of your ancestors, not as victims, but as warriors who turned every setback into a comeback. This is the resilience they don't want our children to know and understand. This is the strength that America has been afraid to teach. But together, we can change that. We can make sure that their legacies live on. If this story of destruction and resurrection moved you like it moved me every time I researched it, I need you to do 4 things right now. First, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss these stories of Black excellence rising from the ashes. Second, share this video with other parents, grandparents, and educators. Comment below and tell me, which of these destroyed communities had you never heard of before today's video? Third, join our private Facebook group where we continue these conversations and share resources to help you teach the complete story of Black resilience to the next generation. The link is in the description below. And fourth, I want to recommend a powerful book that dives deep into this history. The Destruction of Black Wall Street by Devin M.L. Andrews. You can find this and our complete Black History book library in the description below. These are the books that will help you tell these stories of destruction and resurrection with the power that they deserve. Don't let them forget the fall. Definitely don't let them ignore the rise. Subscribe, share, and join the community of truth tellers. I'll see you at the next video where we'll uncover another story of Black excellence that they don't want you to know. Take care.